Good morning. Please rise in body or spirit and let us sing our opening hymn, which is number 1003 in the teal hymnal, but words will be up here. It's called Where Do We Come From? And this is a three-parter. Yes, we're gonna four. Oh, it's a four. Oh, it's a four-parter. All right.
So you get to pick your favorite line, stick with it. So it goes something like this. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Mystery. Are we? Life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Mystery. Are we? Life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from?
Thank you. Let us take in a deep breath together, inviting in that mysterious presence of life that is all around us. Let us rejoice in it and welcome it into our sanctuary, this place of peace and radical love. Let us remember that joining each of our individual lives to one another enriches the web of life and inspires the hope we need to attain peace, justice, and opportunity for all. Today, our worship service will take a closer look at humanism, a life stance which many a UU has taken, and a philosophy that has enriched Unitarian Universalism. I am Heather Norby, and I am the Spiritual Life Director for this congregation, and I use the pronouns she and her.
I'm Ken Schmidt. Good morning. I serve this congregation in many ways. Building and grounds, rate relations, finance, hospitality, social justice, nominating, First Friday, etc. I use the pronoun he and him. Well, my welcoming words for this beautiful morning were written by John Higgins. We are Unitarian Universalists. Welcome to this place. This is the home where no revealed truths are promoted and no scripture or human being accepted and infallible. This is a place to search for truth. But we are believers. We believe in intellectual freedom. We believe in justice. We believe in compassion and concern for each other and the whole world. We believe in commitment to those ideals which makes us caring and active in the struggles of human dignity. We are Unitarian Universalists.
Our mission here at UUCL is love plus connection equals transformation. So I call you now into this connection part by lifting up some of the opportunities for being together that will be happening around here real soon. And of course, there are announcements on your order of service, which you will notice is brand new today Thank you, Jen. She's been helping us design a new order of service. Now, of course, it's still a work in progress, and I know that you will all be patient and offer grace and constructive criticism while we continue to work on it. So the worship committee is meeting in person this Thursday at 5 o'clock at 5 p.m. in the social hall, and we're going to have a big calendar, and we're going to start planning out the year. We want to come up with some great services and programs for the congregation, so please join us on Thursday. The Raven Dinner Theater. This is something that we do once a year in October to raise money. Last time we did it, we partnered with the Rose Dynasty Foundation. This year, we're partnering with the Red Tent Initiative. And I met with them yesterday, and we've got some fun plans going on. I'll have a monster theme. But we're going to all meet together, UUCL and Red Tent, on Sunday, September 8th at 2 p.m. after our potluck. So please, if you're interested in helping and planning and having fun, come to that meeting. Friday, September 13th. It's a Freaky Friday ice cream brainstorming party. Yes. Again, for the worship committee, because we like your ideas. So please come join us for that at 6 p.m. in the social hall.
And ice cream.
There's ice cream. So come eat ice cream and bring your brains. Upcoming Interfaith Coalition of Polk County events. On August 18th, that's next Sunday actually, Beacon Hill Fellowship will be showing a film called God and Country. This is a film about Christian nationalism and what we need to do to work against it. So we're showing that on August 18th at Beacon Hill at 2 p.m. You're all invited to come out. There will be a conversation afterwards. And then Tuesday, September 17th at 6 p.m., that is Constitution Day, at Temple Emmanuel on Lake Hollingsworth, we're having a panel discussion. That's what this flyer is for. The threat of Christian nationalism to religious freedom for all. So I'll be speaking along with the rabbi and Reverend Tim from Beacon Hill Fellowship. So please come out to support, to ask questions, to learn. Thank you. We will now create the sacred space by lighting our chalice.
Let us create our sacred space by lighting our chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith. Our chalice lighting words today were written by David Breeden, the former senior minister at the First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis. Reverend Breeden was also served on the board of the UU Humanist Association and the chair of the Education Committee and the American Humanist Association. So his poem is Hymn to the Light. Our light is the light of the sun, keeping of all we love. Our light is the light of the earth, provider of sustenance. Our light is the light of living things, life precious like our own. Our light is the light of each of us, bound together in need and hope. Our light is the light of the cosmos, keeper of all we know. Sage, would you please do the honor of lighting our chalice? Okay, let us rise and sing Spirit of Life.
Rise in the Spirit.
right, grown-ups, do you all have hearts? You have paper hearts? You need multiple paper hearts and something to write with, grown-ups. Grown-ups? Y'all can have them too, sure. Somebody will be passing them out. And then I see some people brought their backpacks. Y'all must be starting school tomorrow.
No, I started school yesterday.
Okay.
Yesterday.
Wait. Friday.
I started school on the 5th.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's early. Well, whenever you start school, it is that time of year when we start school. So, if you're starting school, I think we even have a new kindergartner in the house. If you're starting school, come on up. If you brought your backpack, bring it on up. If you brought your laptop, bring it on up. If you didn't bring anything, that's okay too. Just come on up. Yeah, I'm going to stand right about here. Sure, you can sit there. Okay, wow, is your bag full already?
Yes.
Whoa, what's in there?
Stuff.
Stuff? All the stuff you need for school? Wow. And we've got laptops. And we've got notebooks. Oh my gosh. All right. Yeah, come on up, come on up. Oh, is this an exciting time of year or what?
It's literally like a jail.
You know, some people are excited about going back to school and some people not so much. That's okay. That's okay. That happens. Yeah. Well, today we're gonna put some more stuff in your bags or your laptops or your folders or whatever you brought, but it's not gonna weigh it down. It's not gonna take up a lot of room. And it'll be something that you can remember when you're at school and either you're having a hard day or you just need a reminder that you are loved. Because isn't it nice to take some of the congregation's love with you to school?
Words of affirmation.
Words of affirmation, yeah. So besides love, which by the way, you can write love on your hearts, at least on one or two of them, what else do you need for school? What do you think you need?
Supplies. Food.
Okay. Courage. Courage. What else might? Confidence. What? Motivation. These are all words you can write on your hearts.
Willingness.
Confidence, willingness, motivation,
Tiredness.
energy. So you need some energy and some perseverance.
More time in the morning.
More time in the morning. Okay, well, I get that a lot. I need more time in the morning too, Bella. Yeah, friends, support. So if you have hearts and you have a pen, start writing that stuff on the hearts because I'm going to send, and you need all the hearts. I hope all the hearts are passed out because we have lots of school children and backpacks and laptops and folders up here, and they're going to come around and you're going to fill it up. Now, if we run out of hearts, you can always dig in your pocket and you can find some love in your pocket, right? And you can take it and you can ball it up and you can put it in their backpack or their folder so it doesn't take up too much room, right? We also use our imaginations around here. All right, so are those hearts ready? Are you writing? Do you think those grown-ups are writing very fast? No? Just one word on a heart. Just write a word on a heart. Love, courage. Do the best that you can. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be loving and supportive. Something that they can take with them to school. You can give it to somebody else that might be going to school. going to give them a blessing. I bless you and your backpacks with the spirit of life. I send you blessings from this congregation because you know that we love and care about you. And I want you to know that if you ever need more courage or more love, you can come here on Sunday morning and ask us for it. So now that you have been blessed, I invite you to take your backpacks, your laptops, your notebooks, your folders, or just your hands, and go around to the grown-ups and collect your love and your courage and whatever it is that you need. Are you ready? Yeah. Okay, lead the way. Yeah. All right.
Lead the way.
All right, school children, you may rise up. And you may go visit the adults and get your blessings. Thank you. You can give them, you can dig in your pocket and give them more love if you want to. Make sure everybody gets a heart. And then you may go out with Melissa. You're free to go out and play. All this, they can't hear me. You just play, don't go. Enjoy. All right. On out. Okay, are all the hearts collected? Jerry's taking you out. Have a great time. Reminiscent of my kindergarten teaching days. So this is the time in our service when we do our ritual called Joys and Sorrows. I've had a lot of questions lately about what is this joys and sorrows? What is this all about? Why do we put stones in the water? And I found a UU World article that was entitled something like Questions That New People Ask. And they ask about joys and sorrows, commonly. And so I just want to read you a little bit from that article that helps to explain it. It was written by Liz James. She wrote, "A couple of years into my life in my Unitarian Universalist church, a fellow congregant told me in casual conversation that he'd been hospitalized a week earlier. When I asked him why he hadn't told me sooner, he raised his eyebrows and said, 'What exactly were you thinking to do?' In the the church I was part of as a teen, we'd have prayed. When tragedy struck, word would spread like a ripple through a pond. We would all have had something to do, and the person being prayed for would know we were thinking of them and that we cared. So Joys and Sorrows is one way that UUs keep the ritual and the practice of holding one another in community. In some churches, they light candles. In some churches, they put stones in water. In some churches, we say that Joys and Sorrows out loud. And it's not because we believe that the candles or the stones have supernatural power, but we do believe there is power in standing together in these moments. This is a ritual of sharing that embodies that belief. So here we use colored stones. Each stone represents a different thing that you may need in the midst of your joy or sorrow. You may take whichever stone or stones feels right to you in this moment and drop it in the water, connecting to others. And of course, before we come up to do this, I read from our Joys and Sorrows books that you are welcome to write in when you enter into the sanctuary if you have something significant that you'd like to share. I don't have anything for today.
There's one thing.
There's one, oh, there it is, it's on a different page, I'm sorry. That's okay, this is from Jen. My emotional health is significantly impacting my physical health, and I could really use some peace of mind. We love you, Jen. Do you take hugs?
Yes.
Okay, well, Jen takes hugs, just so you know. So I invite you now to come forward and to place a colored stone representing your joys, concerns, and sorrows into the water so that we may be together in all of our joys and sorrows. Come on. You play? Yes, please. put a stone in for Allie and for Judy. They're on Zoom. And anybody else who's out there on Facebook or YouTube, thank you. Thank you to our musicians for sustaining us during our joys and sorrows. And just as we blessed the children and gave them everything they needed, we also offer each other all the blessings and things that we need, whether we're feeling joyful or sorrowful. So, thank you all.
Here we gather, tucked back in the friendly neighborhood between the beautiful tall pines. We are a community of people who have arrived from many different paths, yet we seek a common goal: to bring more love to the hurting and the beautiful world. We do this through our relationships we build and the gratitudes we express with our time, talent, and treasure. Centered in love, we can renew and transform this world spiritually and ethically towards joy for all. Our ushers will now pass the plates so that we may live in our values of equality, which states in the new wording of Article 2, we declare that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. We are covenant to use our time, wisdom, attention, and money to build and sustain fully accessible and inclusive communities.
Thank you. Let us take a moment to center and contemplate that which we are exploring this month in worship, our Unitarian Universalist sources of wisdom and inspiration. Close your eyes for a minute. Breathe in gently and breathe out. And open yourself up to that which inspires you.
Machine will probably be okay if I sit in the back.
What is it? Voices on Zoom?
I listen to it in here a little.
How do you do that?
Well,
Zoom or what?
yep.
I haven't signed up for Zoom. What do you do?
All you have to do is get on your email.
It's always interesting when thinking about the mystery of life, right? Voices from beyond. Think about what inspires you, who inspires you, and what you call it. As Unitarian Universalists, we don't tell you where you have to get your spiritual inspiration from. We do not have one sacred text. For many years now, we've had 6 sources of wisdom and inspiration that are in the front of your gray hymnal. You learned about them, if you were here, last week. You're welcome to open it up now and take a look. Let's see. Yes, we have in the front, we have what were the 7 principles, and the living tradition we share draws from many sources, and it lists the sources there. And like I said, if you were here last week, You learned a little bit about them, and you see that we have a wide variety of sources. They are still our sources, so not to confuse you, but with the changing of Article 2, which reworded the principles and turned them into values, such as we have here, we also reworded our sources. And so I'm going to read you the new wording of that now. And if you're confused, Sherry's given me a look. It's okay. You'll get the hang of it. Here we go. We have changed it to this. Direct experiences of transcending mystery and wonder are primary sources of Unitarian Universalist inspiration. These experiences open our hearts, renew our spirits, and transform our lives. We draw upon and are inspired by sacred, secular, and scientific understandings that help us make meaning and live into our values. These sources ground us and sustain us in ordinary, difficult, and joyous times. We respect the histories, contexts, and cultures in which these sources were created and are currently practiced. Grateful for the experiences that move us, aware of the religious ancestries we inherit, and enlivened by the diversity which enriches our faith, we are called to ever deepen and expand our wisdom. And today I hope to expand your wisdom by exploring humanism, which has been a very big source of inspiration for many people within Unitarian Universalism. But first, we will sing a hymn together. It's an old hymn, but I feel like it really honors the new words of our sources of inspiration. And it's in your gray hymnal. There won't be words up on the screen. It'll be in your hymnal. It's number 300, and it's called With Heart and Mind. It is. That bass sounds good. Welcome Ken back to the podium.
Why I am a humanist. I was raised Episcopalian. One day, as a teen, I was reciting the Apostles' Creed, where you recite, I believe in a number of different things. Suddenly I thought, no, I don't. But now, what exactly did I believe? Of course, there were other teachings that I still believe. Do unto others and treat people with kindness. As I developed what I did believe, I realized that I was born into a good family, but by chance of birth, others were not. It did not have the advantages that I did, all because of their family circumstances and where they were born. So I do what I can to help others. I know I can't solve the homeless problem, but I can do my part to help those in need. This is the definition of humanism. Now I have a name for what I am.
Thank you, Ken, for sharing why you are a humanist. How many of you consider yourself a humanist? Okay. Good. So if I'd asked that question 15 years ago, I would wager to guess that at least 75% of this congregation would have raised their hands high, and I would have been one of them. When I walked through the doors of this church, I was solid in my atheism. I had grown up Christian in a congregational church, which was wonderful, but it stopped making sense to me in high school. I was heavily influenced by the music I listened to, especially one band in particular named Jane's Addiction. In a song entitled Had a Dad, Perry Farrell, who is the singer of Jane's Addiction, and also if you've heard of Lollapalooza, he's the man responsible for that. He presents us with lyrics that align with Nietzsche's quandary about the existence of God in a world of turmoil, a world that seems to lack solid moral foundation. Is God gone, dead, or just a myth? Got that funny feeling God is dead. He's not there at all, Farrell concludes. And so did I. I went to college and studied anthropology. I was absolutely fascinated with the science of human evolution, as it gave me a solid, sensible, and tangible answer to that big question, where did we come from? I stayed away from church for about 15 years, but found myself missing community. And not just any community, but one in which I could explore the big spiritual questions with people who had answers and perspectives different than mine. A BeliefNet quiz online, perhaps you've taken it, told me I was either a Unitarian or a Quaker. But Quakerism didn't seem like the best fit for me, so I ended up here. And what a delight it was to find other atheists and pagans, and just a variety of people. But here's the thing. In this community, the majority of people weren't just atheists, they were humanists. Humanist? What's that? At first, it seemed simply as something I could turn to as I turned away from Christianity. In this Unitarian church where most of the people were humanists, I didn't have to listen to God talk and be told I needed to accept Jesus as my Savior. In this very humanist Unitarian community of 2007, that's when I arrived here, I could come to church and learn about real things in the world. And I could join with others in social justice work that would make the world a better place. Now, we've changed a lot since then, and that's good. We're growing, we're learning together. But I have this gift here. I was told this is a gift from Portia Westerfield, who passed away, I think it's been a couple years ago. She was married to Oliver. And this is the humanist sign, and it has a chalice on here too. So I'm wearing this today in honor of Portia, who was one of the most positive humanists that I met. A lot of people were about what they didn't believe, but Portia was very much about what she did believe and what she did do to make the world a better place, and she was an absolute inspiration. But what is humanism? I have a few definitions for you today. This one is from the American Humanist Association. Humanism is a progressive philosophy of life that, without theism or other supernatural beliefs, affirms our ability and responsibility to lead ethical lives of personal fulfillment that aspire to the greater good. Humanism is a democratic and ethical life stance which affirms that human beings have the right and responsibility to give meaning and shape their own lives. It stands for the building of a more humane society through an ethics based on human and other natural values and a spirit of reason and free inquiry through human capabilities. It is not theistic, and it does not accept supernatural views of reality. That's from Humanists International. And the Bristol Humanist Group writes, Humanism is an approach to life based on reason and our common humanity, recognizing that moral values are properly founded on human nature and experience alone. So humanism, then, is more than just atheism or the belief that there is no God and the supernatural does not exist. I often heard the catchphrase, good without God, and one interpretation of this can mean that we can do good in the world and live according to solid ethical principles just because we believe that that's what humans are supposed to do, and not because a higher power orders us to do so. We can do good without the promise of heaven or the threat of hell. Humanists believe that moral lives of integrity can be lived even without God, even without external forces of control. We do not have to live in a world full of turmoil just because we don't believe in God. We can take responsibility for our own existence. Furthermore, humanists use reason and science to form their life stance and discover this world and this universe. And all of this fits very well within Unitarian Universalism, but let me be clear. Unitarian Universalism is not humanism. You do not have to be a humanist in order to be a UU. It's kind of the whole point of who we are, right? We uphold pluralism and different beliefs and spiritual paths. But humanism has been one of our sources of wisdom since the early part of the 20th century, at least. The first Humanist Manifesto, which lays out the philosophy of humanism, was first published in 1933. Of the 34 people who originally signed it, more than half were Unitarian ministers, because Unitarians come from a tradition which believed in reason to answer the big questions. The Unitarians did not believe that Jesus was God. They believed that he was a man who led a moral life of integrity and whose character we should try to emanate. So do you see how those traditional religious beliefs could evolve and transfer to humanism? One of the other people to sign the first manifesto was a Universalist minister. From the Universalist tradition, of course, we get the idea that we don't need the threat of hell to do good in this world. In 1973, the Humanist Manifesto, too, was written, and again, UU ministers and lay leaders were a part of that. In 2003, the Humanist Manifesto 3 was published, and that's what you were handed when you walked in the door today. It is the most current document that explains what the commitments of a humanist are. Much like Unitarians, humanists uphold deeds over creeds and do not endorse dogma. The Unitarian minister, Reverend William Schultz, who was the youngest signer of the Humanist Manifesto II and the UUA president from 1985 to 1993, wrote an interesting piece for UU World magazine in 2003 about the relationship between Unitarian Universalism and humanism. He said, by becoming a home for religious humanists, Unitarian Universalism has contributed to the difficulty humanism has experienced in its efforts to flourish as a standalone movement. It was, after all, the dream of many humanist pioneers to found a potent humanist institution independent of any other. But that dream has not been realized, and of course this was 2003. The American Humanist Association today has but a few thousand members. Unitarian Universalism has over 200,000, 46% of whom, as we have seen, identify themselves as humanists. Again, those stats are from 2003, and I tried to find recent ones, but I guess they haven't figured that out. He continues, most of the early religious humanists were not interested in abandoning religion, but in transforming it. Moreover, they did not want to impose their views on Unitarians. Their goal, as I have said, was to form a separate organization. What those who identified themselves as Unitarians asked of their denomination was not that it rid itself of other theological perspectives, but that it make room for theirs. And I've found over the years since I've been here that we continue on that path. And I find now that we are a community that is even more open to different spiritual paths than we used to be, while humanism still remains a solid source of wisdom and inspiration. And I'm so grateful for that because this congregation is somewhat exceptional in that it's been a hard road, but there are some congregations that really are very, very humanist. And it was even written in a book about fellowships, that some fellowships, which is how we started, but some fellowships embraced, they called flat earth humanism, which really just means a very extreme form of humanism that didn't make room for a lot of others, but that's not what Unitarian Universalism is. And it's really a blessing to be able to learn from everybody. So in the spirit of learning from each other, in the spirit of free inquiry and discovery, it's your turn. You have Humanist Manifesto 3 in your hands. But I want you to take a look at it and maybe just pick one section and ask yourself, I have these 3 questions, study questions. Look at it and wonder, how does humanism answer the big religious questions? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? How does humanism guide us towards justice? And how is humanism relevant to Unitarian Universalism? And if you are on Zoom or social media, I think Faisal put the link in the chat. All right, so you can take a look at it. And feel free, after looking at it for a minute, to discuss with your neighbor how you would answer these questions. You don't have to whisper either. I always hate to interrupt you that it is public today, so you can continue. And of course, hear what sort of insights you've all had. I can hear a little bit of it. It always makes me smile. I'd love to hear what you have to say. So, I appreciate this summary of humanism within Unitarian Universalism. It's on the UUA's website, and it answers the often posed question, how can you be religious if you don't believe in God? Question a lot. I like this. So the UUA says, find a home in universalism or agnostic, rejecting supernatural frameworks for creating meaning on earth. All should learn, grow in a spiritually diverse community. Members of our youth association wrote, and that we share with most UUs the natural human desires for a beloved and accepting community, a purpose greater than ourselves, rituals and practices that resonate with our common humanity and shared mortality, and opportunities to work with other tough-minded, hearted people to do good in the world and to help one another attain the greatest possible fulfillment in life. How many of you consider yourself a humanist now? Kind of, I suppose, learn from each other and from our different ways of thinking. So I, too, still consider myself a humanist. You may say, Heather, we hear you. You were always using the word silly. What do you still a humanist? Oh, this from some of my older humans. I'm still a humanist, and I am a unit corner of the float around in. And I found what I call God. It's a Christian, a father who helped shape me when I was up. I grew up. I learned around, and I faced a diverse and wondrous and mysterious world. I found God in connectedness. Aren't our relationships love? Aren't they divine and full of miracles? Life is a miracle, I would say. And after studying evolution for many years, that's the conclusion I've come to. Isn't there a holy presence in the together? Times of grief and finding joy in each other's lives and the way we create together? You don't have to with me. You don't have to use the word God or holy or sacred or divine. Just explaining to you what it means when it comes out of my mouth. And of course, there are other kinds of humanism. There's humanism and probably many other kinds of humanism, but I didn't go down all the rabbit holes on Google. One more quote from Joseph C. Summer. He wrote, because science cannot now and probably never will be able to explain the ultimate origin or destiny of the universe, I think humanism can include atheists and agnostics. The lack of definite answers to these ultimate questions leaves room for reasonable people the origin of the universe and the form of life beyond. In fact, two of humanism's great visionaries, Thomas Paine and Ingersoll, maintained an afterlife. Of whether God exists, Ingersoll was agnostic. Thus, in my opinion, such views can be humanists if they believe that humanity is on its own and the lack of any means this life should be lived as though it's the only one we have. Since discovering this place as a young atheist, I have expanded and enriched my theological beliefs. I have discovered many different religious philosophies that I can with, and will in the coming months. And of course, I hope you will all join me on this religious journey, and we can search for meaning together. Thank you. And Ken has our closing words.
Closing words were written by Kenneth Collier. What I know. I do not know where we go when we die, and I do not know what the soul is, or what death is, or when, or why. What I know is that the song once sung cannot be unsung, the life once lived cannot be unlived, and the love once loved cannot be unloved.
And our closing hymn is number 298. No, so let's sing verses 1, 2, 3, and 5.
Which is on the next page.
Please